On YouTube, as in life, nobody is under an obligation to tell the truth. And it's a peculiar thing. Because on YouTube, what most of us are doing is kind of monetizing our autobiography. We're finding out the economic value of our honesty and authenticity.
Something that happens is born-again Christians, that's what they do, is they bawl. Born-again Christians are always crying.
Yeah.
When I was a born-again Christian.
So many tears, Erin.
The one thing that, I'll just share.
Please.
That I am most grateful for emotionally is that I'm not always crying anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not broken anymore.
Yeah.
It was like the narrative of Christianity kept me in a perpetually broken, disturbed state.
Yes.
The type of person Erin Janus really is, the awareness I'm burdened with, can still be seen in some videos on her channel. Some videos like 5 signs you're not on the right path and what to do about it. Videos like get out of the materialism trap now and yes, y'all, how to love yourself. These videos show a side of Erin Janus very different from the person she is pretending to be in her current portrayal of herself as a victim of evangelical Christianity.
What is very important for you to know about the Ponyo Gland is that it is your hyperdimensional stargate, your spiritual antenna, your third eye. It is your communication link to higher dimensions. People who just refer to that kind of stuff as simply hallucinations, I think that's a pretty ignorant claim. People who have healthy, active pineal glands, they are like antennas, and they can receive symbols and signs and tap into other people's thoughts. I mean, it also ties into ESP, extrasensory perception.
Now, I do not say this because I support evangelical Christianity. I say this because very often here on YouTube, I'm left with this strange sense of not knowing what I should do when I look at people putting on a performance on camera that's ostensibly very emotionally honest and engaging and even full of regret and recrimination about life, and sometimes there's weeping and sometimes there's laughter, and I know it's fake. I know this person is really misrepresenting who they are and what's going on. And Erin Janus, in portraying herself this way, if you just were to contrast what she's saying now about her experience with evangelical Christianity to the one video she made where she's directly talking about seeing demons, where she's directly talking about how the pineal gland in her brain is the magical doorway for her to communicate with other dimensions, where she is talking about her insane beliefs that the government put fluoride in the drinking water to prevent you from having these magical experiences with other dimensions. Okay, if you were to watch that one video, you would come to the reasonable conclusion this was a young woman who was wildly eccentric by any standards of what Christianity normally is, what that term means.
One of the most important things is to get fluoride out of your diet. Fluoride is magnetically attracted to the pineal gland. Sodium fluoride, it is not good for your teeth. The lie is that it is good for your teeth. It is actually a toxic byproduct, totally attacks your pineal gland and basically shuts it down. What fluoride does is not only it calcifies your pineal gland, but it collects all the heavy metals in your body. Lead, arsenic, mercury, aluminum. It lowers your IQ.
Even if you talk about evangelical Christianity, even if you talk about born-again Christianity. And look, y'all, I know the New Testament contains references to demons. I know the New Testament contains references to supernatural things. But if I were to complain to you that Buddhism had screwed up my life, I'd have to add in a whole lot of footnotes explaining what kind of Buddhism I was involved in. Because Tibetan Buddhism is not the same as Japanese Buddhism. And sometimes I meet people and they told me their parents raised them to be Buddhist, and you have the conversation, and really it turns out their parents, their religiosity, their sense of spirituality was much closer to Hinduism and didn't have all that much to do with Buddhism. And that's okay. But the difference between what Erin Janus believed and what she preached on the internet for many, many years, the difference between what Erin Janus was involved in and evangelical Christianity is much, much greater than the difference between Hinduism and Buddhism. It's much, much greater than the difference between, say, Tibetan Buddhism and Sri Lankan Buddhism. I can't say it's night and day difference. I mean, yeah, Christianity still involves some stuff about demons and, heaven and hell or whatever. But this is so far off the spectrum of what could be considered normal, reasonable, or sane 21st century Christianity that it does seem to me very insincere and very strange to hear Erin Janus complaining in this way.
And that's exactly what's going to happen is when people start questioning the narrative they have in their head, their conscious and their subconscious, they're going to find themselves deconverting from this false cult they're in. It's very rare that anybody goes into born-again Christianity unless they're really fucked up, really screwed up. I mean, that's it. Like I was saying earlier, because this is such a restrictive, guilt-driven, fear-based cult, it is a cult, and that's something that's really hard for people to face. Cults don't have to be on secluded islands. They don't have to be in, buildings that you go to every day. A cult is really the exact definition of a cult. I can pull it up right now. Is
when I see someone like Kalle Cop complaining about going back to university, it's a little strange when I know she never went back to university. When I see Anissa Joma making a video talking about how passionate she is to be going back to university, she didn't complete her university degree the first time and she's enrolling and going back now, it's a little strange because you're one short Google search away from finding that she never went back to university. And these are very emotive and engaging performances of people talking about what going back to university means to them. And the performance of Erin Janus about what evangelical Christianity meant to her is very emotive also. And none of us really wants to sit in judgment over that distinction between what's real and what's fake. I think in an interesting way culturally, this is even reflected in our legal and constitutional traditions. Why is it that the Constitution of Canada, the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of Portugal, if you look through the constitutional and legal traditions of the modern Western world, you will find there's this strange implicit reluctance to write a law saying, thou shalt not lie. That it's not even that we have the liberty or freedom to lie guaranteed to us in these constitutions. It's not seen positively. It's just something where a whole society and legal tradition takes a step back and says, no. We don't want to take people into court and force them to be honest. We don't want to get involved in sitting in judgment over what's true and what's false. And again, whether that's in a job application or even in a corporation providing services to people, there's this reluctance to enforce honesty. And then as a result, we all have to sit back with this strange sense of detachment. Let the buyer beware, let the viewer beware that the most sincere and soul-searching examinations of one's own life, all these people on YouTube engaged in this weird sense of like autobiographical striptease, like, oh, you thought you knew who I really was, but now I'm going to take a piece off. Now you see something else about me you didn't know. It's weird, but that's what a lot of YouTubers are doing. It's a kind of striptease where you reveal your character, you reveal who you really are. But each step of revealing something seems to conceal something else. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Don't do this job if you can't keep it all the way real. Here on YouTube, there are no special effects, there's no script, there are no plot twists. I really feel like honesty is the only currency we've got. I feel like YouTube can be something very positive for the audience. It can be something very positive for the performer. If, and only if, you can really adhere to this requirement of keeping it all the way real. I would totally encourage Erin Janus to come on camera and talk sincerely about what her experience with religion has been, her conversion and deconversion. But I'm left in this very strange position, not just because I can remember when she had that YouTube video up talking about demons and other dimensions and all her crazy religious beliefs. I can remember the amendment she made to that video where she had a whole wall of text. She added a wall of text updating it with her later religious beliefs, what she believed after. Oh no, now I look at the demons this way, I interpret them that way. And yes, For several years, Erin Janus is someone I had personal, private, person-to-person conversations with. And I'm someone who spoke to her enough over several years to see the really crazy incoherencies and inconsistencies in her statements. Other people have written into me since I started talking about this on YouTube saying, yeah, they were someone who tried to work with her for years. It's not even really lies. You're talking to her and it seems like she's not even aware of what the truth is. She makes you one promise and then 3 months later or 6 months later or a year later, she's saying something completely different. And when you're talking to her, you never really feel sure that you know what's real. Well, guess what? If you can be honest enough, YouTube can really help you out in a way that sitting down and talking to a therapist never could, never will. All right? You can come on YouTube, you can talk about your feelings, you can talk about your problems, and you know who gets to see the video 3 months later or 6 months later? You. The most important audience for your YouTube videos is you. The greatest help and the greatest benefit YouTube is going to bring into your life is the opportunity to reflect on what you said and why, how you felt about it and why. And that goes out to even someone as deeply dishonest as Kalle Cop or Anissa Joma. I don't know what it would mean to her if she now sat down and watched that YouTube video. She's talking about going back to university and how much it meant to her and she never went back to university. Maybe those people also can find some shred of personal integrity and can improve just by looking back on their own video recorded history of earning a living by telling lies.